Welcome to Honest Hippie Homestead. As you can see, we are in our new home, but before we moved into our home, we lived in a tiny home. So in this video, we're gonna go over tiny home living. If you're new to the channel, let me quickly catch you up. We listed our suburban home for sale and got an offer on it pretty quickly. We closed on our old home and began our search of looking for a new place to live. We looked high, we looked low, we looked far and wide, and even gave up a few times. But eventually we were able to persevere and find a plot of raw land in the country. We closed on that land, but the issue was that we needed utilities and a home, and that's months and months process. It actually took a little over 5 months before we could move onto our land. During that time, we stayed in a tiny home, and tiny homes are so popular. There are series on Netflix. If you scroll on YouTube, they have hundreds of thousands and even millions of views all about tiny homes. Heck, you can even buy one on Amazon now. That's crazy. We lucked out and found a tiny home for rent just a few miles down the road from our land. Has nice country scenery. On the land, there is the landlord's house. Right next to them was the chicken coop with lots of chickens and fresh eggs. And then next to that was the tiny home that they had just finished building the day before we moved in. The outside hadn't been painted yet, but it is done now. I have been obsessed with tiny homes and school bus conversions, and we thought long and hard about having a tiny home on our homestead. I see so many people that do that and just absolutely love living in a tiny home. You can see just how excited our girls were to be out of the city and into that country life. The very first thing we did to the tiny home was put up a little fenced-in area so we could keep our dogs separate from her dogs. As you can see, our dogs get pretty crazy sometimes. Now this tiny home, my landlords built it themselves. You can see they have a nice sized porch that fits our outdoor patio furniture. It could fit a grill and a nice welcome mat. They did such a fantastic job on the build of this tiny home, so let's take a tour. The front door opens up to the living room area. You can see that there's space for a couch, a little ottoman, and a TV stand. I use this little nook here for the dog's toys and my office supplies. The TV stand we use for overflow storage of office, kitchen, whatever we needed it for. It has an open floor plan between the living room, dining room, and the kitchen. I absolutely love the cabinets on the bottom, the wood epoxy pour countertop, and the open shelving concept on the tops. One of the good things about living in a tiny home in the country right next to a chicken coop is always having farm fresh eggs on the counter. Right off the kitchen was an additional room that is an extra bathroom, pantry, cleaning closet, and we were able to stack our washer and dryer, so it was a laundry room as well. We use this room basically for anything that we didn't want people to see. We stuck back in this room and closed the door so no one could see it. They make sure to put lots of window. There was so much light in this house. My plants loved being in this tiny home. This design is a 1-bedroom, and the bedroom is large enough to fit a king-size bed, the nightstands, our dog kennels, and even my full-size dresser. Off the bedroom was a closet and bathroom combo. The closet was set up to have a his and her shelf to hang up your clothes and then a shoe rack on the side. I also like the vanity in the bathroom, and then the tile work in this large shower was absolutely amazing. That was my favorite part of the home. When our home sold, we didn't have a place to live lined up yet. So when our landlord reached out to my Facebook post and said they had a tiny home coming available, they were lifesavers. We really enjoyed our time getting to know them and living and dwelling in that tiny home, plus getting to know all their animals that they had on their homestead. pigs, chickens, and of course livestock dogs. She was our favorite. We miss Sola. We've also really loved that country, slower pace of life and being in a community full of really good people, and almost everyone out here are animal lovers. Country life is definitely the way to go. We definitely learned a lot in our time period of living in the tiny home. With the limited amount of space, I really learned what was necessary and was not. I ended up getting rid of a lot of space because I thought, or a lot of things because I thought that I needed it, but in the end, learned that we actually didn't need it to survive and homestead and all of that. So that was a very valuable lesson the 6 months that we lived in a tiny home. So we are ever grateful for the lessons that we did learn and that we took away from our time in our tiny home life. But ultimately for us, going with a larger home, it would be a better fit long run in the end. And the reason why we decide that is basically, as a homesteader, I think most homesteaders have a wide range of interests, and that takes a lot of space. While we were in the tiny home, I had to make multiple trips every week because a lot of our stuff we had to keep in a storage unit because there just wasn't space and we didn't have a workshop. Also, I need the space in my home for all of the interests that I have when it comes to homesteading. I start my own plants for the garden from seed. I garden, I run a micro bakery out of our kitchen, and I can a lot of our food, produce from the garden, and that just takes up a lot of space. So having a larger kitchen than what we could have in a tiny home was of utmost importance to me. This is a new bread that I made. It's very good. Not only do I personally have a lot of wide range of interests, but I also work from home. So this home allows us to have an office. We are possibly going to host a foreign exchange student, so we have a spare bedroom, so we have extra space to do activities like that, being involved in the community like that. So if you're actually interested in seeing what home we ended up going with for our homestead, I put a link down below in the description, and I'll also pop it up at the end of this video. Thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, please comment them down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. We will catch you guys next time. Until then, happy homesteading.